What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be learning how to whip finish the proper way. I say the proper way because there's a lot of misinformation about whip finishing out there. I covered most of this on the video that I did just the other day, actually. But a lot of people said that they wanted to see it in landscape mode, so that's what we're doing here. Our whip finisher here is just a standard whip finisher. This is the Frank Matarelli brand, and this is called a Matarelli whip finisher. Now, it's hard to find the Frank Matarelli brand like I have here, but that doesn't really matter. So, to start off with, you have your wire, you have your sleeve, you have a bearing. Well, it's not really a bearing, but it's a ball that acts as a bearing, and then you have this ball. This ball down here is free to move around, whereas this ball does not move at all. So, if you don't touch the ball, you can spin it freely, but with your finger on the ball, it locks it, right? Because this is welded to the wire. So when you go to start your whip finish here, you're going to grab it right here. Some people even grab it up here. I find the best way is to grab it right here between the sleeve and the wire. And if you don't have a ball on yours, then make sure you grab it by the wire. And I like to pull down at least 2 to 3 inches of thread at the very, very, very minimum. And I always make sure that my thread is flat before I start whip finishing. The reason why, if the thread is not flat, when you go to do your whip finish, it can cord up and it can snap off. So I'm going to hold it like this. I'm going to make sure this notch goes in, and I'm going to lift the bobbin up while also pushing the hook towards the thread. So we're going to go like this. One smooth motion. Then I'm going to let off of the ball. And the whole time I'm keeping my bobbin parallel to the hook shank. And then we're going to come towards the eye. Now you'll have to feed this. The more that you come towards the eye, the more thread has to come out of here. So that's why you'll see some people, they move back and forth as they whip finish. And then once you're done, you're going to pop that off, and you're going to make sure you're keeping tension on this. And then pull down, pop it off. Again, real simple. We're going to grab it and whip finish. And you'll notice when doing that, when you go to pull this up, it's going to create a backwards 4. You see that there? How you have like that triangle? It looks like a ramp almost. And then we're going to bring our thread down. And we're just going to move towards the right if you're right-handed. Now that time it jumped on me a little bit, and that's okay. So let's talk about why going from the bend towards the eye is the proper way. So first off, I'm going to do my little whip finish there. And you'll notice that the gap, there's something that I like to call the thread gap. And it's a gap that's actually in between here, okay? And you'll notice that right now, the gap goes away from you, right? It's forward and back. Now, if I come the wrong way with my whip finish, I come towards the rear, now look at the gap. So essentially what happens when I pull this down, the thread is going to jump onto the outside. You'll notice this little bit that's sticking up right there, that's not going under anything except for this very first wrap. So now you have exposed thread right there. Again, we're going to come towards the rear. We'll do it on a little bit bigger scale. So when I pull this down, this piece of thread right here, where it goes up on the left side, is going to be exposed. And you can see it clearly right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you can see where the thread's on the outside. That's not ideal. So now I'm going to come the right way again. And I'm winding this as I would any thread if I'm building my thread. When we pull this down, the thread sucks up underneath of there. One more time. We're going to grab this, lift it up, and we're going to come towards the eye, and then everything sucks underneath of there. Then we're going to go the wrong way, and the thread stays on the outside. You can see it right there. Now, a really super slow way to do this, I'm going to show you once more. We're going to come up, we're going to lift the bobbin straight up, and the whole time my bobbin is staying parallel. So I slide that in there, I'm lifting it, and I'm letting go, and then I'm wrapping towards the right, and then I slide my finger up onto the ball, I pop off the notch, and then I pull it out. Now, what happens if you do not flatten your thread? I know a lot of people don't flatten their thread because they think it's going to bite into the materials better or whatever, and that's okay. You don't have to do that. But when you don't do that, sometimes you run the risk of it knotting up. See, that time was fine, but do you see how the thread is like this in a loop? Watch what happens when I flatten it. Now when I let it loose, look at that. Look at the difference, how it's not trying to coil up. That's the difference. So, whip finishing by hand, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to lift this up, over, and now I'm going to lift my fingers up, and I'm going to grab the thread coming out of the bobbin with my middle finger, and now you have that backwards 4 again. And then I'm going to lift, I'm going to spin again. And basically what I'm doing is I'm coming up each time, and this back piece of thread, I'm grabbing it with my finger, and I'm moving it. Okay? It's coming up, and I'm grabbing it, and I'm twisting it. Grabbing it and twisting it. Again. So when you do this, you start it off, you just go around, grab with the back thread with your middle finger, pull it towards you, twist. Grab the back thread, pull it towards you, and so on. And then I grab it and I let it go. So, what happens if the cord's threaded when you try to whip finish by hand? We're going to grab it. Now watch this. See it cording up? See that? It almost broke on me. Again, let's watch what the thread does. You see it starting to cord up there? It's not good. I'm going to flatten the thread, and we're going to leave it exposed just how I did right there. Now watch the difference this time. Notice how it wasn't cording up. So that's pretty much it. And I told you guys I would show you again how to pop the thread off. You're going to put your fingers in here, just like you're getting ready to whip finish, but then you're going to slide your thumb in and pop it out, and you get 0 excess. Hope that helps, guys. Appreciate you for being here, and I will catch you on the fly.